I recently did a video all about tipping on a cruise and I got tons of comments. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but what do crew members think about tipping? What is the truth about it? And some of the other things that crew members really think about going on a Royal Caribbean cruise. We've got the inside scoop up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Tipping is definitely a controversial topic, especially when it comes to cruise lines where gratuities are often prepaid or automatically added to your bill. For years, cruisers have debated the virtues of tipping, who should tip, how much to tip, is tipping the right way to do it, and all sorts of theoretical topics. However, what do crew members think about tipping and other things that guests do? Well, we've actually got our first really good look at what crew members think about based on a Reddit thread in which one crew member went and shared their thoughts on how you can show your appreciation to those working to make your time on board so memorable. Now, the crew member did not identify themselves just by their Reddit name, Sol Araya Livros, and they worked on many ships like Adventure of the Seas, Allure of the Seas, and Wonder of the Seas. This particular crew member took it upon themselves to basically share their thoughts on things that a lot of cruisers often ask about, starting off with tips. And their comment was, quote, your cash tips, no matter how big or small, help us, most especially crew from developing countries like myself, tremendously. We're paid a livable wage and well, but every dollar is something extra we can bring back home to our families. But if you prefer not to tip, that is completely okay. Here are some of the ways that you can show your appreciation to the crew members who made your cruise extra special. And here are the ways that they mentioned. Number one, post-cruise surveys. So this person posted that the cruise surveys are really important. There is a reason why so many crew members talk to guests about those post-cruise surveys. Not only do they allow you to provide feedback on your vacation, but they also have the opportunity to shout out hardworking crew members. Their survey itself is quite short. In addition to a few brief questions about crew members, you're also asked about the food's quality, shore excursions, ship's overall maintenance, and entertainment. The crew member actually mentioned that when you specifically call out a crew member in the surveys and reviews, that crew member can earn a day off, a very important cruise scratch card, a free specialty meal, or stay in a guest cabin for one sailing. That very important cruise scratch card lets them scratch out for perks like free internet and room service, a day off, discounts at the cruise store, cash, and more. It's kind of like a lottery scratch off ticket. Now, the surveys are especially important for crew members like waiters. When their ratings go down, they're at risk of having fewer tables to wait on, resulting in fewer tips. For waiters and specialty restaurants, low ratings could even lead to being reassigned to the main dining room, which he believes is definitely more stressful and demanding. Quote, if mentioned enough times, we get nominated to be Employee of the Month. Winning Employee of the Month has quite a sum of cash prize, end quote. If you're wondering where you would actually mention these folks, it's usually the last question in the survey, which is a free-form text field in which you can enter all sorts of information about crew members and anything else that stood out about the sailing. Next up are small notes and letters. Leaving a small note for a crew member who left an exceptional experience for you can really make a difference. And this person recommended don't be afraid to write them a short thank you note before disembarking. Whether a bartender who made your drinks perfectly or a fun activity host, taking a moment to show your appreciation with a handwritten note can make a huge difference. Quote, I have personally received small notes folded into fun shapes from guests, and I still have them in my wallet to this day. Reading these notes from guests at the end of the long day of work makes all the work feel worth it, end quote. Speaking of things that really make a difference to crew members, how about remembering their name? The person on Reddit emphasized how much a simple acknowledgement like remembering a crew member's name can mean. Quote, a guest remembering us and calling us by our names makes us feel seen and appreciated. As you all well know, we work on board without days off, and days can be really long. You have no idea how a simple thank you can make a cruise day, end quote. So for example, when you see your cabin steward in the hall, address them by their name and ask how they're doing. Similarly, you can greet your main dining room staff each evening by their names. In fact, this leads me to actually one of my favorite tips if you're sailing by yourself on a cruise ship, because when you're sailing solo, I often find that I want to just be able to talk to people because while you can communicate digitally very easily, actually having conversations when you're sailing solo feels like something that's really missing. And so crew members are great for this. And you can certainly strike up a conversation with your stateroom attendant, bartender, waiter, person at the comedy club, you never know. Next up, this crew member talked about something that is truly, I hate to say it, controversial, and that is collecting cruise ducks. If you're unaware of this fad, within cruising these days, odds are any cruise you go on, there's going to be a certain set of people who are going to be hiding little rubber ducks around the ship. It started out a couple of years ago as kind of a fun little cruise activity, and now it's become a must-do for so many people. There's a lot of people who love hiding them, and a lot of other people who love finding them. And the idea is if you find one of these rubber ducks, it's your choice to either hide them for somebody else or take them home as a souvenir. The reason why it's quote-unquote controversial is because, well, some people just don't like having fun, I think, and they just see it as a little silly, juvenile, or a mix of both. Anyway, the point is that some people really don't like it. They think it's gotten out of hand, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, what do crew members think about this? Well, it turns out that passengers aren't the only ones who love collecting ducks. Quote, crew members who have little kids back home love collecting ducks. My cousin, whose dad also works for Royal Caribbean, grew up looking forward to receiving new duckies from her dad after every contract, end quote. And that being said, Sol Araya Livros added that they knew a fellow crew member who was fired because of collecting ducks. So if you're cruising and a crew member mentions that they have young children at home, consider giving them one directly. While on the topic of gifting gifts to crew members, be aware that things could get them in trouble, like alcohol and items purchased from the shops on board. Quote, we cannot bring any item from the shops unless we have the receipt. If you want to gift something from the store, find the manager of that department and let them know that you're going to give this certain gift to the name of the crew member, end quote. They add, it's best to be done in an area where the CCTV is available. However, note that crew members may reject gifts if they're afraid they'll get in trouble over it. The best gift that Sol Araya Livros received was a picture of themselves and a fellow guest while working in 150 Central Park, a special restaurant on the Oasis class ships. Quote, I did not expect it for them to buy it and gift it to me. It was in that nice 150 Central Park folder with the keychain inside and a note from them wishing me blessed years ahead of my career. In fact, they say they got a promotion 2 sailings after receiving that present, end quote. Another gift idea from this person is laundry detergent. Crew members must buy their own in the crew grocery or in port, so gifting them saves them money. This crew members insight provides a little bit of an idea of what it really means when you go on a cruise ship and you tip your crew members or give them gifts or whatnot. In fact, I had no idea about the gifting thing, that if I wanted to give them a gift of something that was on board the ship, they could seriously get in trouble for it. Now, as it relates to gratuities, if you're unaware, every guest that goes on a cruise ship is obliged to adhere to the automatic gratuities that are provided. These gratuities recognize the service provided by crew members, including cabin stewards, head waiters, and assistant waiters. The daily gratuity, at least as of the recording of this video, is $18.50 per guest per day for guests in a standard cabin, which is basically an inside, ocean view, or balcony cabin, as well as a junior suite. If you're staying in a grand suite or higher, you'll pay $21 per person per day in gratuities. The daily gratuity amount is the same for all passengers, regardless of age. So that means a family of 4 staying in a balcony cabin will pay $518 in gratuities during a week-long cruise, while a family in a suite will pay $588 for a 7-night cruise. Now, gratuities, or tips, whatever you want to call them, are not included in your cruise fare, unless, of course, you live in Australia. Some passengers prefer to prepay them in advance, as it helps them appropriately budget for their vacation. In fact, I am definitely one of those people. I always prepay my gratuities. Plus, guests who prepay their gratuities don't have to worry about a gratuity rate increase should it come down later on because they're grandfathered into the lower rate. These automatic gratuities are a bit controversial, as you'll probably see in the comments below this video, because they can feel impersonal or mandatory to some passengers, and some people think the cruise line should be paying the crew members a fairer wage and that guests should not have to pay an automatic gratuity. Rather, they should truly only give out gratuities, tips, in situations in which a crew member really goes above and beyond to reward exceptional service. Now, there was one other comment that Sol Araya Livros left about tipping, basically saying that they are not, as crew members, well-versed about gratuities and asked respondents to refrain from asking questions about them to avoid misinforming people. So, even among crew members, there's confusion about how all that works. I don't know about you, but I find this kind of stuff really interesting, and hopefully you did as well. Let me know in the comments below what really stood out about the comments from this crew member, and will that change any way that you cruise in the future? While you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube will let you know we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.